back to Football Picks here on TalkingSports.tv at Charlie Fitz Whiskey's, the great tap and eatery here in Vaughan, Ontario, just north of Toronto. Come on by and say hello. And folks, it is the time you've been waiting for patiently, where our experts, Uncle Ben of Uncle Ben's FootballPicks.com, Handsome Howard of Handsome Howard's Charlie Fitz Whiskey's, and where else are you? I mean, you can go online and find Howard anywhere because he's an extraordinary handicapper. But he's going to give you some free picks right here. Well, let's start with you, Uncle Ben. It's a game between two of the better teams in the NFC this year, San Francisco and Carolina. Carolina clearly the most improved team in the NFL, I think. And this game is 49ers are favored by 6 points. You love a team here. Which one?
I do here. 5-3 against 6-2. The Carolina Panthers have been blowing out a lot of teams lately, but those teams have been bums, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with winning the games. All you can do is beat the teams that are in front of you. But I think maybe they're ready for a little bit of a fall here this week, guys. This is San Francisco at home with an extra week to prepare. Not the Minnesota Vikings or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the St. Louis Rams or the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, Newton and the Carolina offense has been going along pretty good, and they like to run the ball a lot, but they're going to have a difficult time this week going up against a pretty good 3-4 defense in San Francisco. And I still say that San Francisco's offense actually is the number one running team in the league, and that's going to help them out this week as well with their keeping their defense fresh. And this team, like I said, I've been saying this for the last 3 weeks, and I've actually had San Francisco the last 4 straight weeks. They've won both straight up and against the spread. The best thing that ever happened to the Niners were those 2 losses in week 2 and 3. They've won 5 in a row. They've covered the spread every week. They've scored 35, 34, 32, 31, and 42 points in all those wins and covers.
Wow.
And I just think they're going to come crashing down this week, the Carolina Panthers. You look at the teams they've beaten. They beat the New York Giants that were 2-6, the Minnesota Vikings 1-7, the St. Louis Rams 3-6, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 0-8, and the Atlanta Falcons 2-6. Those teams were combined 8-33. Those are the teams that the Carolina Panthers have beaten. Not this week, not in San Francisco, not with San Francisco looking ahead to going down to New Orleans next week as well. That's going to be a tough game for them. So they're not going to blow this game this week. With all those things I just said and all those teams that Carolina's played, I don't see them beating a well-rested team like the San Francisco 49ers who are on a rampage lately. I like the Niners in this game to win big, minus the 6 points.
All right, well, Ben, you couldn't be more clear on that. Take San Francisco minus 6. Howard, I want to extract your thoughts on this game. I know it's not one of your favorite picks, but Niners by 6. Ben just made some very good points. You give Carolina any chance to cover or win this game?
Well, this is a tough game to call. I mean, San Francisco hasn't beat a lot of world beaters either, if I recall. I mean, they beat Jacksonville and they beat Tennessee the week before.
Well, Tennessee's a fairly good team. They're 4-4. They're looking to go 5-4 this week. I would say they beat Arizona.
Okay,
no, they're not a bad team.
Yeah, okay, but this is a good test for San Francisco. I actually think this game is going to be a very close, hard-fought game. I think the Carolina Panthers are for real. I think the Carolina Panthers at the beginning of the season was a team I personally came out and said this team, watch out for them this year. So I think this game is going to be a very, very hard-fought game. 2 teams that are definitely on the rise, 2 teams that I both think will be in the playoffs this year. And when you got a game like that and you're getting 6 points, I would take the dog, thinking it's going to be a tight, close game.
All right, that's interesting too. Now, here is a game that you both like a lot. And this is the only one of the week where you agree on your best bets. And Handsome, let's start with you. Baltimore, the Super Bowl champions, have looked anything but, really. But they play the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 2-point dogs. And I know both you and Ben like Baltimore. Your reasons first.
Yeah, I like Baltimore a lot this week. Number one is I know Baltimore was a highly bet team last week against Cleveland. I mean, Baltimore looked like the better team, but Cleveland came out and beat them. Now, whenever that happens in NFL football, I always tend to say, shame on the bettors. They all bet them one week. They're all going to not bet them this week, and this week Baltimore is going to look like a different team. And I agree that's going to happen. Baltimore is going home. Their season doesn't look like they're going to have much left there, but they're still going home. They're still Super Bowl champions from last year. They've got a lot to prove to people. There's a lot of honor on that team. And I just think they're going to come up with a big performance. Their defense is going to come up real strong. Flacco will make the big play. And I don't particularly don't like the Cincinnati Bengals going into Baltimore, a team like that going against a strong home defensive team. I think they won't be able to put too many points on the board. So I like Baltimore in a tight defensive battle.
Ben.
Well, I did have the Baltimore Ravens last week, Howard. Matter of fact, they were double play on my service, a loser. Our first double play loser of the year last week. And I am not going to make that mistake, Howard. I am definitely coming back with the Baltimore Ravens this week. The Cincinnati Bengals have some problems right now. They just lost their best defensive line in Geno Atkins. That's huge. They've also lost Ray Maluga temporarily, their starting middle linebacker. This on the heels of losing their top quarterback, Leon Hall. Not good for the defensive side of the ball. That's a good thing for the Baltimore Ravens offense because they've had a little bit of trouble moving the ball. Okay, I also see that the Cincinnati Bengals are 1-5 straight up and 0-6 against the spread when laying points on the division road. So they haven't covered a spread in their last 6 attempts when they're laying points on the division road. And the defending Super Bowl champions are 4-0 straight up and against the spread when they play off 3 losses. I just think it's time for the Baltimore Ravens to return to the winner's circle here already. I mean, it's been about a month since they've done that. They're getting 2 points at home. It's sort of a must game for them. They're 3-5, and I like the Ravens to rebound this week, win the game outright. I don't think you're going to need the points here. Take the Baltimore Ravens to plus the 2 points.
All right. As my good friend Boomer Berman would say from ESPN, you're all on the Ravens, okay? I don't like the Ravens in this game. I like the Bengals, and I know they had a tough outing in Miami, but they've had a long time to rest and recover from that now. That was a Thursday night. When they play Sunday, that'll be 12 days of rest. I do like the way Dalton plays, generally speaking. He did have an off night in Miami. I don't think Baltimore's even close to what they used to be. Now, who am I to argue with the experts who, when they agree on something, we really should pay attention. But there's something, gentlemen, that's bugging me and saying to me, go with the Bengals in this one.
I don't agree. I mean, I just think the Ravens are, like I said, due to get a win. It's a huge game for them. They go to 3-6. It's pretty much over. Not that they're looking like a playoff contending ball club at the moment anyway, but the Bengals maybe are playing a little bit over their head. They were 6-2. You know, it's just never that easy in the NFL to win the division. They had a big lead. Now it's sort of coming down on them. They lose this game here. They'll be 6-4. And I just think it's going to set up nicely for the rest of the season. The Ravens have to win a ball game, and this is it at home, underdog plus 2 points.
Actually, this game reminds me a lot of a Ravens game last year. I remember Baltimore had come off a couple losses, and they were playing the Giants at home. And at the time, the Giants were on a roll, and Baltimore was struggling. And the Giants were 3-point favorites in Baltimore, and Baltimore crushed them. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood like 42-17 or something for Baltimore.
But they used to have some players back then by the name of Lewis and Bolden and Reed. And I mean, this is a different Baltimore team. This is a bad team. What does Ray Rice do anymore? He can't run the ball.
They can't protect either.
And Flacco, again.
Flacco's under pressure constantly.
But
they have some big injuries, like I said, on the defensive side of the ball, Cincinnati, and that's going to help.
Without Atkins, they won't pressure as much.
Well, they won't pressure as much, and without Maluga either, right? And then they got Leon Hall, who was their lockdown corner. Not that Baltimore has a bunch of fancy wide receivers, but it just puts a little more pressure on the secondary. And I just think that Joe Flacco, they need to get it done. I'm not backing off. Last week I had Baltimore. I lost. I'm coming back with them this week, like Howard says. This is their week to play better at home, plus 2 points. They've got to have the victory.
All right. We shall see. Up next, the Atlanta Falcons, who to me have been the most disappointing team in the NFL this year. But Howard, you like what the line is in this game. Who are they playing?
They're playing Seattle. They're 6.5-point dogs at home. Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons have looked terrible. I mean, they're nowhere near the team they were last year, and they've had a lot of guys injured. Ryan hasn't been playing up to his par. But one thing about Atlanta, if you look at them over the last 3 or 4 years, look at their record at home. I think they're probably one of the best home teams in all of the NFL. Seattle, for whatever reason, doesn't play as well on the road. I mean, they obviously have a great record, so they've been doing well on the road. But I just see this game as a little bit of a trap game. I think a lot of the public will be on Seattle, and I see this game as one of those games where Atlanta could be losing by 10 points with like 3.5 minutes to go, get a late touchdown, and Seattle wins by 3.
What do you think about this game? I know it's not one of your best bets, Uncle Ben.
No,
but
I don't.
What do you think?
I don't really like this game much, but a few things interesting. The Seattle Seahawks haven't covered the spread. They've won both their last 2 weeks, have not covered the spread. Very unusual. Atlanta, I don't know what happened to this team. Like I said about a month ago, Marty, this team is not a big physical team. They get pushed around a lot,
Yeah.
on the line of scrimmage, which is where the games are won and lost. Seattle's very good on the line of scrimmage, big and tough. I'd have to take the Seahawks here. I don't see them losing this game to the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are in a free fall right now. They can't seem to score any points for some reason. They're banged up. The skill positions, running back, wide receivers, are all banged up or not even playing. And I just think the Seahawks are going to continue to win. They're a pretty solid ball club. They have a little revenge from last year's playoff game. I don't know if you recall, but they did lose in Atlanta last year in the playoffs. And I'd like the Seattle Seahawks to win this ball game. Winners cover the spread 84% of the time. I'll take the Seahawks minus the 6.5.
Yeah, I mean, just my 2 cents. I can't stand this game at all. I'm not impressed with the Falcons much. I certainly understand what Howard's getting at when he's talking about their virtues for this game. But without Julio Jones and these guys,
Steven
Matt Ryan just
Jackson.
doesn't look the same. It just doesn't. This Falcons team, like I say, I wouldn't bet on the Falcons with your money put together. There is a game, though, that I really like on Sunday night. This is Dallas at New Orleans. This should be, I would think, Uncle Ben, a shootout. You love a team in this game.
Well, I do. I mean, I happen to like the New Orleans Saints this year. This team is on a mission ever, the Bounty Gates situation last year. They seem to really put their best foot forward now. They're leading the NFC South thanks to a top 10 offense and defense, guys. I'll bet you didn't know that. They're not known for their defense, the New Orleans Saints, but Rex Ryan has really come in there, who just happened to be the defensive coordinator with Dallas last year. So there's a bit of a, he got fired at the end of the season. Like, that was their big problem, the Dallas Cowboys. If they could just fire Jerry Jones, they'd have something going down in Dallas, but they can't do that. Anyhow, Rex Ryan came over to New Orleans. He's done a cracked up job there, taking their defense from nowhere. Rob Ryan, excuse me. And I always felt that the best way to combat the New Orleans Saints was to pound the ball 30 times against them, like the Jets did last Sunday with a lot of success. And Dallas doesn't really have that game at all. Their running is one of the lowest running, if not the lowest running team in the NFL. The Saints have been money in the bank, guys, going 10-1 against the spread in non-division games when playing off a loss, including 6-0 against the spread at home. New Orleans is 5-1 against the spread, including 3-0 against the spread in this series right here of late. And the clincher is since 2011, I think I said this 2 weeks ago when we had New Orleans against Buffalo, the Saints are 13-0 straight up and against the spread at home under head coach Sean Payton. Winners cover.
I'm really looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be a lot of scoring. I mean, let's face it, Tony Romo's a bit of a schmuck. I mean, when the game comes down, when it's on the line, near the end of the game, he's going to turn the ball over more often than not. And so I 7 points is a lot to lay, but I kind of like what Uncle Ben is saying, and by taking New Orleans, they're going to want to rebound and make amends for last week when they lost to the Jets. That was an inexplicable loss to the Jets
Well,
at
plus,
home.
they're very strong at home. Like I said, they're 13. They won their last 13 at home under Sean Payton, covered the spread every time. They got San Francisco coming into town next week, which will be a little, bit of a tough game. So I just think that this team is way better than the Dallas Cowboys on both sides of the ball.
But
It'll show
7
up on the
points
scoreboard.
is a lot to lay. However, as you say in one of your commandments,
I don't see it at 7, Marty. I see the spread at 6 right
6?
now. Yes, I
All
do.
right.
I see the spread at 6.
that's a big difference.
And I don't think it matters much. I think that they're going to win by a couple of touchdowns, the New Orleans Saints.
All
I
right.
like the Saints this week.
Handsome, I know this isn't one of your favorite games, but if you had to take somebody in this New Orleans-Dallas game in New Orleans, who would you take?
No, 100% New Orleans. I mean, Dallas, to me, I said at the beginning of the season, Dallas is an overrated team. I don't think they're anything better than a 500 team. They were lucky to win last week against a terrible Minnesota Viking team at home. I just don't like them. I think they're a team that's just publicized by the owner, and that's it. And I could see the New Orleans Saints blowing them off out of the map. It should be a good game, though. It should be an air show.
Yeah.
Both quarterbacks are going to be throwing the ball all game, but I just see.
There'll be a few interceptions, huh?
Yeah, there'll be quite a few. I could actually see New Orleans winning this game like 49-28, that type of score.
Wow.
Yep.
All right.
I say that's great. If it's an air show, I'll take Drew Brees over Tony Romo any day of the week.
Any day.
Yeah.
We agree on that. Gentlemen, it is time to end this segment, and now we prepare for our final segment, which is going to be when Uncle Ben takes a look at his top college football picks. That means it's time to say thank you and goodbye to handsome Howard Kamen, who, of course, is accessible here at Charlie Fitz Whiskey's anytime you want to come and see him. He's here almost all the time at this wonderful tap and eatery in Vaughan, Ontario, just north of Toronto. Come by, say hello to say hello to handsome Howard. You can say hello to Uncle Ben too. He might be here as well. But come on by, grab something, have a good cold drink, and you can't do any better than come here and watch football. I mean, that's the best.
And let's pick lots of winners this week, and let's all make a lot of money. Have some fun.
All right, thanks, Howard.
All right.
That's handsome Howard Kamen. We'll be right back with Uncle Ben of UncleBen'sFootball.com. Take a look at the top NCAA games for you right after this.